friend's son was born around the same time speaking, but mine isn't. And they join the preschool. You look at other children, they're sitting and eating their tiffin, or they're sitting and coloring so well. Or look at them, they know their ABCD, or even mine doesn't. Right? So those comparisons start very early. That those dreams and those expectations start very early. And one of the major issues that over the years I've realized as a parent, when I meet other parents, that key issues becomes about our expectations. And how difficult we find to accept a child who we have sometimes. Right? Sometimes that expectation and that acceptance are in loggerheads with each other. Maybe we'll talk more about this as we go on. The other thing I want to bring up, so one was the expectations. The other thing is about our context. The social cultural context that we live in. Do you think that has changed from the time you were little? Has it changed? Or do you think it's the same? It's changed dramatically or little? Dramatically. What's different? If you talk about the cultural context, how has it changed? Sorry? It's more global. We're talking a lot about, yes, globalization. It's just not globalization of economy, it's globalization of education, it's globalization of culture, languages, every aspect of our being has become more global. But how does it impact the way we live our lives, our families? Sure. Yeah, and this is so important because connect is the deep bond that you have with a child. Connect is the essence of any relationship. And many times when I'm asked that, come on, please can you Shelja, can you do a workshop on discipline? I say, I can't do a workshop on discipline on its own. Can you do 1 hour, come and talk about discipline? Because discipline is irrelevant. You can't talk about discipline if we have not talked about connect. Connect is the foundation. If I don't have a connect with my child, I can't talk about discipline. So that is the basic foundation. And right now you have small children. But I can tell you, as your children grow older, they go through middle school, senior school, and you face a lot of challenges. Remember this. Because it's not challenged so much when your children are little. It's challenged much more when they go into the teenage. And like you see, you nodding your head, and I think you totally agree with that, because that is where your child, whatever the child might be going, senior school, they're doing things they're not supposed to, taking risks, they're into smoking or whatever you might think. If you don't, you rather start disciplining the child, it won't work. The focus has to be how you build that connect, and from there you start talking about other issues like discipline. Right? So I'll go through each one as we go along. Now, connect, like we said, is the most important. I'm going to start with talking about Shiv. Right? So there's no child like Shiv, I'm made it now. Let's talk about Shiv. Shiv is a 4-year-old child. He's very bright, energetic, full of imagination, very creative, but distracted in class. Will not complete his worksheet, does not copy from the board, slow at doing most things, need repeated reminders, keeps losing things. And parents at home are feeling pretty stressed out. They feel everything telling Shiv to do basic things like go and brush your teeth, take a bath, do this, bedtime, switch off the TV, you can't do this, change into your clothes. That takes a lot of energy, right? And every day is becoming into a battle cry, right? Every day. And that's something some of you might connect to, some of you might not. But let's talk about how things are. Now, can you think about Shiv and how his typical day goes? How do you think from morning till evening, what does Shiv have to hear? Think about his sleeping. He's getting ready for school. Instructions. So it might be that when you try to wake him, you might wake him with a hug and a kiss and all that love. But he's not getting up, right? So what happens then? Sorry? You get late for school. If you get late for school, I'm not dropping you. If you miss the bus, I'm not dropping you. You cannot get TV. When you come back today, we throw more down. We get more and more stressed down. You spill milk again. Why do you keep spilling milk every time? Why didn't you put your clothes for children, especially in class 3 and 4? Why didn't you put your uniform or your clothes out to people? Why haven't you packed your bag? Whatever. Why did you take so long in the bathroom? Right? And the day goes on. This is just the morning. But the child goes to school, comes back, and as the day goes on, what happens? But till the end of the day, what has happened? What has happened? He's heard a lot of instruction. It's like, the drip of a tap that is just constantly, child is hearing a lot of instructions. Don't do that, don't do this. And I'm not even talking about very severe abuse or hitting or punishment. I'm talking about basic things. And drip, don't do that, why did you do this? Shift faces a lot of it, but a lot of our children are facing all the time. Parenting becomes a lot about giving instructions. Telling them not to do this, do that, do this, do that, all the time. Right? And I like to call this relationship parent has with the childhood has with the parent like an emotional bank account. You make deposits in it, but you're making withdrawals. Right? And the thing is this, what do you think are the deposits that you make in a relationship with children? What are the deposits? Love that you show, affection, hugging, kissing. What else? Come on. Time that you give them. To give them sometime what they want. Yes? Sorry? Trust that we build in them. Playing with them, hugging with them, going out to the park, doing fun things with them. That's the deposit. What are the withdrawals we are making? Discipline. Some level of withdrawals are necessary when you say no TV. Right? When you say no, it's bedtime. Right? So some level of those boundaries are important. But what are the other withdrawals we are making? Sorry? Helping the child is a deposit. But withdrawal, I mean like an emotional bank account when you're taking away from the child. The relationship which is impacting the relationship, which is taking bargaining with the child, threatening the child, shouting at the child, this drip constantly, don't do this, why did you do this, you always do this, at this rate, at your age, all the time these things are happening. So withdrawals are happening all the time too. And deposits are happening. Now, some level of in parenting those withdrawals, I know for myself, if my children are being snappy or irritable or moody, I like to check my emotional bank account with them. And I realize that I have been preoccupied with something else and maybe not making enough deposits. And I have been withdrawing more and making less deposits. So this emotional bank account also changes from day to day. Right? But as parents, it's very, very important for us to be very mindful of this emotional bank account that we have with our children. Yeah? And the most important thing that I like to believe is what we focus on grows. What do you think I mean by that? What we focus on grows. Yeah? Any ideas? Sorry? What's become reality? Not really. What we work upon, yes. What you put your energy, put it really well. What you put your energy on.
Flaws that we are looking at
Yes.
leads to shame.
Yes. If we just focus on the flaws of the child, they'll grow. If we focus on the strengths of the child, they'll grow. Or anybody. That is our law of nature. What you focus on grows, right? And I want to bring in here a little where this belief has become very strong in me, always was there, has become very strong in me. Many years ago, I attended this retreat by a Zen Buddhist master called Thich Nhat Hanh. Any of you heard of him? Yeah, Thich Nhat Hanh. He had come to India. And it was, for me, it was, as a friend had suggested, and I'm not very keen, but then I said, okay, I'll go for it. It was something that transformed me as a person. And a lot I learned, and I have been practicing in my work. I've read a lot, and I'm part of a lot of work they do. But I want to just highlight one aspect of his teaching, which I really found so true, what he calls art of selective watering. And the art of selective watering is that in each one of us, there are different kinds of seeds. There are negative seeds and there are wholesome seeds. Negative seeds in me could be of anger, irritation, jealousy, hatred, all kind of, or the positive seeds would be of love, kindness, nurturance, compassion. All those are there. It depends on which seeds are watered in myself. If I just focus on what irritates me, what angers me, what either hatred I feel, that's what's going to grow. But if I focus on things that give me joy, the things that give me love, or being kind to others, that's what's going to grow. In our relationship with our children also it's the same. If I focus on you can't do this, you're not good at maths, you're not good at this, you're not good at this, you're not good at this, then the child's self or sense of self and identity is going to be about I'm not good enough. I'm not good at this, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at this. However, similarly with children, if you focus on, you know what? I love the way, how generous you are, how caring you are. I love the way you're so creative. And I like the way you play around with numbers. I like the way you stood up to the bullies and the courage you showed in that. That is your watering the wholesome seeds. And that is a very important part of parenting. Because many times what happens is, we are, in our way of disciplining our children, we start energizing the negative seeds. Don't do this. You always do. You're a very angry child. You're a very aggressive child. Don't, this is not, and as they grow older, especially when they hit teenage, you will use this much more. When you're constantly focusing on what they can't do or what they're doing wrong. Right? And what happens is the sense of the self of the child is I am all these things I cannot do. They get used to that and because children need energy. So what they do is they show behavior which they're going to get negative energy. So the argumentativeness or temper tantrums or being difficult is a way to attract that negative energy. And we need to break out of this cycle. We need to break out the cycle because this can lead to a lifetime pattern of negativity which they carry and they carry on to their relationship when they grow up. So how can we do that? And I'm going to borrow from this work by a psychologist called Howard Glasser, and what he calls a nurtured heart approach. And it's a very, very complex approach, but I'm again going to pick up one theme from that. Because you might say, okay, so how do I put it into action as parent? And one aspect I'm going to highlight is recognitions. How we can use recognitions to build that in children, to water the wholesome seeds in children, right? And what do you think I mean by recognitions? What do you think? Recognizing the strength, appreciating the child, praising them. I would differ there, and I'll tell you why I differ about praise. Yeah? I'm going to talk about 4 kinds of recognitions. They're very simple, but I can tell you they're very, very powerful. And if in your parenting, you start using these recognitions, I have started using in my work with my children, my parenting my children, and when I work with children and families, and I find them extremely powerful. I'll go through each one. One is active recognition. Active active recognition. How many of you saw the movie Avatar? You see the movie Avatar? How do they greet each other? Do you remember? There is I see you. Yeah? The way of greeting each other was I see you. And one thing that human beings are wired for very deeply is the need to be seen. The need to be recognized. To be seen, not even words, just to be visibly be seen. And remember that we talked about, we live in this treadmill culture of going from rushing, that we are not able to see each other. We are not able to even see our children. We are not giving time to even look at them. And I know I'm a working parent, I've been a working parent for the time we were little, and the rush of going to work, coming back, managing home, managing work, sometimes the balance, we sometimes forget how important it is to see children. And the seeing is when you look at them, when you maintain eye contact. It's the touch. It's the 100% I'm here for you right now. It's not the words. I am here for you right now. And the lighting up. When I was little, my grandfather, every time I entered the room, even if it was 5 times in a day, every time he would see me, his eyes would light up. Have you had an experience of somebody where, when you were growing up, their eyes would light up every time they saw you? Yeah? Do you have that? That is what active recognition is. That's what children need the most. They don't need those iPads and those tablets and those expensive toys and all that you like. They need a lot of active recognition. When you put everything aside and you are there for them. You put your mobiles aside, you put everything aside. We live in a world of multitasking. You put that multitasking aside and say, I'm here for you. You look at them. You are there 100% for them. You light up when they come. Something very simple, but it's very powerful. Second is strength recognition. When they do something specific, you say, I see that. I like the way you stood up to the bullies. I like the courage you showed there. You were so generous in sharing your chocolate with your sister. That was a lot of kindness you showed in giving that to your notebook to your classmate. Right? Or you were very creative in the way you made the flower in a different way. You are making it very specific. It's not vague. It's not about bravo, you're brilliant, you're super. Our vocabulary for recognizing strengths in children is very limited. Very good, well done, super, excellent, that's it. When I talk about strength recognition, I mean very specific. When you say, you know what, now you show me how organized you can be. You manage your time so well. You show responsibility in the way you put the clothes back in the cupboard. You giving it a name. When my children were very little, I would do something. There's a whiteboard at home. Every time they did something, I would put down big words. I would put. They couldn't even read it, but they would try to put it together. What was that I did for them? It made them feel good about themselves. That I can be responsible. I can be organized. I can be courageous. I can be brave. I can be considerate. I can be generous. I can be adventurous. There's so many words. We have a rich vocabulary in English and in Hindi to use that. Right? And the reason I said not praise, because we know praise sometimes can be just good, well done. Praise is sometimes like junk food. Feels good at that time, but doesn't help the child to grow. Strength recognition is like nutritious food which helps them to grow and understand and build a sense of identity. Third is the proactive recognition. A child who's struggling in an area does something, you recognize. A child who's always very angry, you feel that he gets very angry very quickly. He is a son, he does something, but he stays calm. Say, well done. I notice that he stays calm. I know you don't like to share your toys with your friends when they come home, but I notice you share your bike. Well done. That's proactively you are recognizing something. And the fourth is creative recognition. Creative recognition is, we talk about our children all the time, The way we talk to our children become their inner voices. The way we talk about our children become their life stories. Be very careful of the way you're talking about your children. It could be the fish, when you draw something, you're putting it up in the fridge or film it and putting it up in the living room, or somebody comes home and says, you know what, she's helped me. So the stories you are making about her, the stories you are creating about her, it's extremely important. So those are recognitions, and it's very important that the core of Connect is I love the way you are. You are unique, you are different, and you are you. And the child, not your dream child you had in your head. Many times we carry the dream child in our head. Sometimes the dream child can disrupt the parenting. To let go of the dream child and to focus on the child who's there in front of you. And celebrate the child. And for that, we have to be mindful. We have to be mindful of our own inadequacies. Because a lot of time, that's what I felt about parenting is it helps me to understand my own inadequacies, my own difficulties that sometimes we can transfer onto our children. Yeah? So, what I want to focus next on is coaching. What do you think I mean by coaching? Sorry? Guiding? Yes. What else? Yes, coaching is about guiding. Coaching is about disciplining. Coaching, most importantly, is about building skills in children. Right? Coaching perspective is that we see everything the child does is a matter of skill. How to build skills in children. I'll help you understand that. Let's talk about Vega. She's bright, she's intelligent, she's very creative. However, recently parents have started noticing that she's glued to the iPad and TV. Taking away the iPad from her is a struggle. If she has to go to sleep or something at dinner time, she finds it difficult to let go of the iPad or the TV. And any attempt from parents to take that away leads to tantrum, shouting, screaming, getting angry, and parents are giving it to her. They're struggling, but they tend to give it to her. Right? So here we're talking about a kid, that some of us might be familiar with, and how do we help, how do we parent a child? How can we be coaches for a child like this? So I'm going to here, whiteboard. No. So I want to just highlight one thing here, that there is a particular school of thought I am standing here called transaction analysis. Yeah? Yes, I know. Yes, I remember meeting him and discussing this. Yeah. So I'm not an expert on transaction analysis, but this is something that became very prominent in 1970s, and I'm not trained in it. There's some basic training I've done, but I find this model very accessible. It's a very interesting model, and even children, when we use this model with children, and a lot of work in education is being done with this. Now, according to this, in each one of us, there's a parent, there's an adult, and there's a child. Right? So, parent, and the parent, to make it very simplistic, parent could be a nurturing parent or a critical parent. Right? So, critical parent could be, I might say, please don't use the phone, put the phone in the bag. When I have my workshop, you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to have a drink. You're not allowed to take a phone call. So that's my critical parent. Nurturing parenting, I think you're not looking too well. Can I give you a glass of water? Right? Or adult would be in terms of the information. It's a non-emotional information given part of me. That's the adult me. So typical approaches that we use sometimes in parenting are A is attack, B is back off, and C is coach. Right? Attack is what you saw happening. Back off is your parent comes, has a look, and what does she do? Give up. And you feel a certain sense of helplessness. When you get into that complaining, to आदत पड़ गई टीवी addict है. So a lot of complaining and moaning and groaning that happens, but nothing is done about it, right? And C is the coaching approach, which is approach taken, which is much more hands-on, which is about building skills. And so 5 steps to coaching, which I think are important to understand. One is you need to understand the unique value of the child. So it could be about a child who can independently eat her meal or sit down and read or writing. It depends on if the child cannot read. She can read only for 10 minutes and you say no, you have to read for 1 hour every day. Right? That doesn't make sense. So first of all, you have to understand what can the child manage. Second thing we need to do is building skills one step at a time. Suppose we talk again about reading. On a scale of 0 to 10, the child's reading skills are 3 and you expect the child to be at 7 or 8. Just your expectations and your pushing and criticizing and complaining will make the child from 3 to 7? No. So what do you need to do? You have to see what you can do to help the child who is reading just for 10 minutes, maybe increase it to 15 minutes. What kind of books the child has to read? What kind of interest the child has? What time you can read? How can you make reading into a fun time? When you are reading, he is reading together, right? And third is asking them. So before this, suppose you sit down with Vega and say, Vega, you know what? I know it's holiday time now. Let's make a timetable. Let's make it, how you're going to spend your time. So what time do you want to get up? When would be your reading time? When would be your play time? What time you want to watch TV? So you are asking them. You're giving them choices. Right? Do you want me to switch off TV or will you do it on your own? Rather than telling me, tell children too much. Learning happens when you asking them. And I think that's something Vega believes in. The curiosity is the basis for learning. And for children also, when you are curious, you ask them. Then they think. If you're telling them, they become rebellious. So asking them. And suppose it's already been decided between mom and Via that 4 o'clock is the time when Via has to sit and do something, or they have to go to 6 o'clock, they have to go to whatever, or 8 o'clock they have to go to bed, it's a bedtime, then it's decided. Right? And the most important thing is establishing clear boundaries, and I'll come to that because it's very important. One thing I want to talk about, and I'm sure Sandy must have read a lot in Carol Dweck's work. Carol Dweck is a psychologist in Stanford, and she done a lot of work, decades of work with children. And one aspect I think we need to understand in teaching and in parenting is how children learn and how children grow. There are 2 kinds of mindsets we have. One is when we say Ria is a difficult child, Radha is a bright child. He is intelligent, she is not intelligent. He listens, she does not listen. Right? When we have a fixed mindset, that does not help us to grow. That does not help the child to grow. However, growth mindset is basic underpinning of growth mindset is everything the child does is the skill. And we have to help the child move from in the scale from 2 to 3 to 4. And it's not about praising the child, because once you praise the child, you're intelligent, you're smart, you're brilliant, then that's a fixed mindset you are doing. Whereas you say, I like the effort you put in. I know it was difficult for you to switch off TV, but you did that. That builds a growth mindset in children. And we know a lot of work is done in the area of growth mindset, grit, commitment, all these things, all this stuff. That children from early age who are part of the growth mindset that, this is it and I can keep getting better. It's not that you're bad in math, you are learning math. You will, with effort, with practice, you become better and better. Right? So that's the growth mindset. And what makes a good coach? What do you think other important things we need to keep in mind and what makes a good coach? Connect to the kids. patience. Yeah? Yes?
We have to think like a kid.
We have to be creative.
We have to think like a kid.
We have to think like a kid. We have to empathize with that. You know, when the child Ria finds it difficult to switch off TV and say, yes, I know Ria, it's tough switching off TV, isn't it? Once you empathize, I know even when I'm watching my favorite program, it's difficult for me to do that. So connecting to the feelings of the child. So yes, hands-on approach. If you're shouting from the other room and saying, Ria, switch off the TV, it's not going to work. You have to, parenting cannot be done through remote control. You have to be there. Inside-out approach, what do I need to do? Routines and rhythms, I would suggest to all parents, now the holidays start, I know you want the children to go wild and have fun and do nothing, that's great. And it's very important for them to have that unstructured time, to get in touch with their creative abilities. But make sure you have certain rhythms to the day. Because you'll find if you don't have these rhythms, this holiday can become a nightmare for you, and when they have to come back to school, it becomes difficult. It should not be regimented, but some rhythms to the day. Clear rules. We do not use that language. We do not hit. Basic minimum rules are important. Not take this. Sometimes, when they protest, children, no, Mama, I'm not going to do this. I don't like you. Or sometimes children might go one step ahead and say, I hate you, Mama. I wish you were like Shreya's mother. She's much better. She lets her watch TV. Don't take it personally. Right? But as parents, sometimes we tend to take things personally. We need to understand this is a job. When my kids would get upset with me, I would say, I've got to do my job. This is my responsibility. I have to be a parent. I know sometimes you don't like it, but that's my job. Recognition and calm and respectful. Because again, getting stuck in that critical parent and rebellious child doesn't work. One thing I want to highlight here is the way you give, because a lot of you have small children. The way you give instructions to a child is very important. Make sure when you talk to your child, giving instructions, you get down to the level, maintain eye contact, give simple instructions. They might find it difficult to follow it, empathize with the difference, and recognition when they say, okay, they're switching off the TV, say, well done. Boundaries, I'm just going to focus on one thing here. How important do you think boundaries are in parenting? When I say boundaries, I mean rules and limits. Only half an hour of TV, bedtime at this time, no hitting, no abusive words. How important do you think are they? Very important. Yes? We struggle with them. It's easy to love a child and to say no. Some of us struggle to say no. But it's like we said, it's very important. It's like, how many of you love football here? Playing or watching football? Yeah? So it's a beautiful, I find that football is a beautiful metaphor. Football, you have to have clear lines, you have to have clear rules. And you see these football players, I sometimes feel they must be sending them to theatre classes also, drama classes. You see them throwing tantrums? They'll kick and they're shouting, screaming, throwing themselves, and the tantrums are like, wow. Yeah? But how do you see the referee responding? Like you say, don't do tantrum, it's okay. Do you see him getting into long arguments or discussions? No. Yellow card, red card, no. And sometimes parenting is like being a referee. Their job, the children's job is to break rules, is to push boundaries, is to throw tantrums. That's the way they're wired. But we have to be like a referee and say, clear rules. Can't move that. Right? Now I'm going to talk a little bit about care before I wind up. Care is about the way you take care of children and the way you take care of yourself. And I think I want to highlight the holiday time. It's very important that I'm sure you will have plans for holidays, going. But like I said, make sure you have certain rhythms and routines. They don't get too much of excessive screen, because the holidays should not be about them attaching themselves to the TV or the iPads or the iPhones. right? Make sure they're getting mix of everything, not too many workshops. Some, if they're interested in theatre or art, maybe one workshop would be good. Travel would be good. Travel is always good for children. You know, again, research that travel helps you to learn, right? That the neural pathways get strengthened. So none of that, but maintain rhythms in it. Extremely important. And the most important thing I want to know from parents is, do you take care of yourself? You know, like you have these, when you take flights, you have the safety warning. In case of lack of oxygen, what do? First, you take it on yourself before you give it to your child. Because if you say, no, I really have to take care of the child, what will happen? You will burn out. Right? So, especially for mothers here, I will feel very guilty. But raise your hand if you have taken care of yourself. I don't see all the hands going up. So, this holiday, are you going to take care of yourself? Yes, good. I like that. Sorry, this I wanted to highlight is, what is your PQ like? What do you think I mean by PQ? No. Sorry? Performance? No. Playfulness quotient. Yeah, how playful are you? On a scale of 0 to 10, where would you put yourself? 6, 7. Anybody below 5, you don't have to raise your hand, but you need to do some serious, not serious, really some fun work this holiday. Okay? Don't be so serious. You have small children. Have fun with them. Be silly. We make too much of this grown-up world. The grown-up way of thinking. You know, just be crazy, do fun things, put on the Bollywood song or dance with them and, you know, run around with them in the park or do crazy things, do silly things. Right? And that's something I definitely believe in. I'm going to come to the fourth C, which is the community. Why do you think, like you must have heard of the proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. Do you believe that? Yes. We don't have these villages anymore. I grew up in a very small town in Himachal, right? And where everybody knew everybody. I think that's a wonderful way to describe a community. However, we live in a place where we don't know our neighbors. We don't have community. Children have their parents, they come back, they go to school, come back, have a few friends. But we need to build them. And you are all fortunate enough to be part of the Vega community. And I know how strongly Sandy believes in the sense of the spirit of community and how important it is. So make use of that space. But the very important thing I want you to also keep in mind is very important part of community which Vega believes in is being inclusive. In your classroom, in the classroom that your children go to, your children are wired differently. Yeah? Some of them are way ahead in reading, some are way ahead in what we call sitting tolerance and working, or their attention, or math, different things. But it's important for them to be part of the inclusive project. And if when your children go to school and they come back and tell you about a child who can't read, or who is difficult, or gets angry, don't think, oh, I don't want that child in my class. Because you are helping build an inclusive community. When you are helping the child understand how important inclusion is, you are helping them to understand a very important lesson. Because they're going to grow up, they're going to go to colleges, they're going to go into jobs, they're working with, dealing with, managing with, building relationship with what we call the EQ, emotional quotient, the social quotient. They're going to be built only their inclusive setup. So, you're fortunate enough to be part of a community which is inclusive. And so hold on to that. Every child needs a wow. Wow stands for I'm worthy, I'm original, and I'm welcome. And if you're able to, from this workshop, you just take this wow back, that's great enough. And the last C is the commitment. And I don't doubt that in these parents on a Friday morning, and I'm sure you have your work, other things, you've taken time off from everything, you come here, There's been, I know, a gem set failure today, and sitting in the seat and so attentive and so focused. That's marvelous. That's amazing. Because it takes a lot of courage, it also takes a lot of compassion. I think one thing that you don't understand is how much of compassion and courage is required to commit to parenting. It's not something that, other relationships, you have choices. Your husband, you can say, I'm going to my mother's house for the day. Enough. Your job, you can say, I quit my job, change my job, but I won't go today. Parenting is relentless every day. The buck stops with you. It takes a lot of compassion for yourself. It takes a lot of compassion for our children. And I like to believe parenting is like gardening. Yeah. You sow the seeds are there. Every sapling is different. And they grow at their own pace. In our anxiety, maybe a good gardener does not pull out the plant and say, let me measure the root, let me measure the leaf, let me measure the stem. You have to have the faith. But my job as a parent is to make sure I provide the right nutrition. My job is to make sure I provide the water, care, sunlight, everything. Rest of it, you have to have the faith that the plant will grow. That's the wiring of the plant. We will grow. Like a Chinese farm is saying that in the first 5 years, it just grows a few centimeters. And the 5th year, it grows 85 meters. So each child grows at his or her own pace. So have that faith. And I'd like to end here. My book is available for parents who are keen to read more of that. And hope to see you all again. Thank you very much.